My name is Joel Domhoff, and I am a very proud Santa Cruz High graduate from the class of 1986, and it is an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. I'm very proud to call myself a Cardinal, and even more so now that we have this amazing Hall of Fame committee and all this stuff that you're going to see today being done. So very proud to be here, very happy to be here, and can't wait to get this going. So I'd like to begin today by thanking, first of all, those hard-working folks who made this possible. The Board of Directors for the Santa Cruz High Athletics Hall of Fame, President, Mr. Tom Curtis. Our Treasurer, Mr. Dave Brockman. Dave, where are you? This way. Over there to my right. Our Secretary, Mr. John Lindsay. Right below me here. And then we have board members, Serena Whiting to my left. Mr. Mark Hodges over here to my right. Mr. Brian Wall, I believe, is also, yes, over to my right. And unable to be here today, but a hard-working member of this board who's coaching Torio football right now, Mr. Reggie Stevens. Mr. Ed Farrell, where are you, Ed? Right up front here, am I right? You know this guy, he's on your TV pretty much every night. Mr. Jim Courtright, to my right. Jim, thank you. And finally, last but definitely not least, to my left, Ms. Christy Netto. Also want to thank some folks who made this possible. The athletic director here at Santa Cruz High, Mr. Eric Redding. Over to my left. Thank you, Eric. The Santa Cruz High principal, Mr. Brent Klein. Over here to my right. And one other person, before I acknowledge the real person here, but there's one other person I want to acknowledge at this point, and that is Santa Cruz High alum who's walking amongst you taking pictures. I'd like to acknowledge at this time Mr. Harry Dong. All of our inductees will be very familiar with him as they come up, because he will be taking a ton of pictures for us. And the last advisory member, and someone that I really wanted to single out, is Mr. Bill Dodge. Where is Coach? There he is, in the back, Coach Dodge. There he is, hey! So we all know Coach Dodge, even if we are those of us amongst us, or maybe a few, I know there's a lot of older folks here who know Coach Dodge as their teacher, their coach here, but there's even some younger folks who know him because he's still at every basketball game, at every baseball game, at every sporting event. So I know he worked really, really hard to help make this all come together. I know he and his late wife, Roberta, did a ton of work to make this possible. So I want to acknowledge Roberta and Bill. And like I said, Bill is the one and true Cardinal. I mean, we're all Cardinals here, but Bill epitomizes what it means to be a Santa Cruz High Cardinal. So Bill, thank you for everything you've done for this school, this community, and all of us. Very special guest speaker that we have here today. A three-sport athlete. He won a claim on the football field, the pitcher's mound. He was all-CCAL varsity as a senior, all-Northern Cal second team in football. He's a pitching stalwart on the varsity baseball team for 2 years. He was All-League in 1963 when the Cardinals were the league and NorCal champions. And he then went on to play football on a full scholarship to Stanford University. So please welcome a Hall of Fame inductee from the class of 1963, Mr. Dave Netta.
Well, Bill's played a big part in my life. I've known Bill since I was 14 years old. Played a lot of baseball for him, played a lot of basketball for him as well. I've always kept in touch, and he's always, every time I see him visiting in Roberta at their house, there's always asking about my children. I have 3 kids. He knows what they all do, and he always remembers a lot about it. And he's been a great value in my life. So I learned a lot of life skills. Well, how does that get you to a place where you have good life skills? Well, it's kind of pretty easy to figure out. There's just a few things that are very important. Mastering skills, persistence or perseverance, planning, hard work, and teamwork. The process of sports, that going through all of that practice time and game time, is kind of a real metaphor for life. It's a real metaphor for life. When you graduate from high school, a lot of those things come into play in your career, and in your life, in your family life, in your church life, or whatever things you do in your life. Those things are all very important. So that was valuable. Hard work, physical and mental. We all know that practice is tough. Right? The physical conditioning is tough, but it also teaches you to be tough mentally. And you have to prepare. You have to prepare for practice. You have to prepare for games. So hard work is a real key element, and you need to do that throughout your life. Even as you get old and retire like I am, it's still important.
At this point, I would like to call all the Hall of Fame coaches and/or their representatives up to the stage to my left. Coaches and their representatives, come on up.
First inductees from our coaches group. She was a coach and PE teacher for 34 years, Helen Calkins. And he was a football, basketball, baseball coach, athletic director for nearly 20 years, Mr. Merle Briggs. Next up, we met this man earlier. He is a legend. The baseball field is named after him, one of the greatest baseball coaches in the history of this county.
Hey, he didn't only coach baseball. You'll know he also did basketball for many, many years, Mr. Bill Dodge.
Next up, his name is synonymous with the Santa Cruz High wrestling program. He had tons of success with them, Mr. Hilding Tex Ronning. Coach Ronning was also a football coach and athletic director. Don't want to leave that out.
Athletic director for 20, Mr. Roger Baird. And accepting, next up, varsity football coach for 3 years, Mr. Larry Simmering. And just as Dodge Field is named after Coach Dodge, this man was big in my life. I didn't play the sport, but I actually did as a youth. And then I had to choose between this and baseball. And many days, I love Coach Dodge, I love my time, but I sure wish I could have played for Coach Dennis Mullen. Accepting is his wife, Joyce Mullen. I did play for this honoree. Many people remember him for his longevity as a basketball coach for the boys, but he also coached girls JV softball, girls varsity softball, and then ended his career coaching girls varsity basketball. And everyone remembers the state championship team, but all my teammates from the 80s would be all over me if I didn't mention that the first league championship won by this man was our team, class of my junior year, 1985. That was Coach Pete Knoll Jr.'s first league championship. So Coach Pete Knoll Jr. Santa Cruz High track athletes excelling over a long period of time, and again, this coincided with my time here at the school, but he was hand in hand with the track program every step of the way. Mr. Brian Wall. And then lastly, just as I have some regrets of not being able to play for Coach Mullen, I also have a lot of regrets for not getting to play for this man. He coached soccer for many years, unparalleled success. Also did golf, varsity football, JV football, track. He was the chair of the PE department. It'd probably take me less time to say what he didn't do than what he did do. Mr. Don Dempy-Wolf.
Next up, we have our inductees from the 1920s. We have 3 inductees. From 1924, Tony Duke Valine, and from 1928, John Caldwell. And from the class of 1922, Leo Harris accepting as his granddaughter, Nanette Newberry.
From the 1930s, first from 1930, Mr. Harry Lee Brandt. From 1933, Manuel Neto, accepting as his son, Dave Neto. Clemenson Carvin is accepting on his behalf. The 1940s. We begin with 1940 accepting for Mr. Dick Forrest is his daughter Susan Forrest. From 1943, Mr. Dick Fazio. From 1944, Mr. Malcolm McCauley. And from 1945, Mr. Len Norn, and accepting as his son, Greg Norn. Also from 1945 is Mr. Ed Deasley. From 1946, Mr. Ed Withrow, accepting as his daughter, Sue Antonetti. From 1947, Mr. Roy Johnson. And to round out the decade from 1945, Mr. Ted Whitwer, accepting as his brother, Paul Whitwer. The 1950s, we have from 1953, Pete Lippins and Rich Montgomery. From 1955, Esther Frieza Wilson. Also from this year, Mr. Ed Farrell. And also from 1955, Helen Kingdom. From 1957, Bob Vega, accepting as his wife, Pat Vega. '57, Jack Knight. Last inductee from the year 1957, Mr. Phil Meadow, accepting as his wife, Marie Meadow. Class of 1958, Mr. Angelo Ross. Decade 1959, John Kirby. Mr. Ken Negro.
Mr. Curtis. Thank you. Well.
Going down that way.
And next up, in the class of 59, Fred McPherson, accepting as his brother, Bruce McPherson. Mr. James Smith, accepting as his brother, Steve Smith. All right, so from the 1960s, we begin with 1960, Mr. John Rogers. Okay, from 1961, Mr. Al McCommon. Also from 1961, Mr. Bruce McPherson. From 1962, Mr. Ron Ioko. Also from 1962, Steve Smith. 62, Mr. Bruce Buckner. The final member from the class of 62, Mr. John Pierce. From 1963, Mark Schultz accepting as his daughter, Lori Janney. Also from 1963, Mr. Dave Netto. Also from the class of 63, Mr. Mark Conrad. Mr. Mike Owen. Bob Peterson. It's 1965, Mr. Larry Griffin. From 1966, his brother, Mr. Glenn Griffin. From 1968, Mr. Kip Herron. Mr. Tom Christian.
It's all right, man.
And the last member of the class of 68, Mr. Walt Edwards. Okay, class of 69. First up, Mr. Tom Mitchell. Also from 69, Gary Unelli. Also, Mr. Tom Foster. Chris Sorensen. Scott Graff.
Good.
Kurt Waller. And last but certainly not least, we also have many stories told about Big Al Marshall.
again, the inductees from the 1960s. Next up, our inductees from the 1970s, and the first one in from the class of 1970. His name was synonymous with baseball, in particular hitting, Mr. D. Herron. Also from the class of 1970, he was a Hall of Famer in my book just for the amount of injuries of mine that he and his brother Rod treated over the years. From the class of 1970, Mr. Murray Fleming. From the class of 1971, round of applause for Craig Dean. Next up, from the class of 1972, Mr. Preston Dyson. Also from the class of 1972, Mr. Mark DiGirolamo. And the last member of the class of 1972, Mr. Bill Scott. And our good friend Jeffrey Dunn asked me to give a special shout out to this nest inductee from the class of 1973, Mr. George Barbick. From the class of 1976, Brian Peeney. Also from the class of 1976, Kevin Raines. From the class of 1977, Yvonne Sandus. From the class of 1978, Sue Dodge, accepting as her brother Richard Dodge. Also from the class of 1978, give it up for Andre Wilkes. And the last member from the class of 1978, Greg Ronning. From the class of 1979, give it up for Terry Schneider. Also from the class of 79, John Rembow. And last but not least, to round out the inductees from the 70s, from the class of 79, Mike Gregoric. Give it up one more time for your Hall of Famers from the 1970s.
So, first of all, we want to thank everybody